Coming up today on Ricky Did, we're going to play our last couple of games of the season here at Jahn Regensburg, and fingers crossed can gain automatic promotion up to the Bundesliga in the first one, but it will be tricky. We need just 1 point though away at Hertha Berlin, but also hopefully can keep ourselves on top of the table and go up with a title. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 52 of Rookie to Royalty here on Shaun Does FM with Jahn Regensburg. I hope you're doing well, and come up today, going to finish off our second season in charge here of Jahn Regensburg, and fingers crossed can make it a promotion party with a title as well. Got 3 games left in our season, 2 points clear of Mainz, 9 points clear of Nürnberg, so it does mean that just one more point from our next couple of games will see us go up automatically to the Bundesliga for next season, but ideally we'll hold on to that 2 point gap over Mainz, who do sit in second. Does look like us two should definitely be the teams now who do go up automatically to the top 10 next season. So if you guys are looking forward to that, as well as end of season review stuff, provided that we don't bottle things completely somehow and go into the promotion relegation game, but it does look like Nürnberg should be the team in that, albeit Hertha technically could still catch them, but really they've probably left their run a little bit too late, especially if we take some points off them here first up in today's episode. Off back of yesterday, where we did take on Nürnberg, and before then Eintracht Braunschweig. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. A couple of games of play just to make our way through here close to the end of the season. To be fair, our run home, it did look pretty kind of thankfully. That's how it started. First off, a derby here as we took on Ingolstadt. This was the team that we beat 7-1 away from home earlier this season. This time a bit closer to us. So we will get going here, but we picked up a 2-0 win, goals there in the second half to Leighton Stewart and to Ruslan from set piece. Then we picked up a pretty impressive 4-2 win here over Darmstadt. The goals came quite late, and it was off the back of our goalkeeper getting injured. We chucked Aaron Ramsey in goals. So to be fair, this one was a lot more comfortable than it did look there, with that scoreline also helped out by the fact they got a red card just 7 minutes in, so that definitely helped in what looked like one of our tougher games there in the run home. So that did help out that red card, and we put a blitz on them there in the first half. Unfortunately though, Lukic is out quite long term for the rest of the season with a broken hand. So unfortunately, that did mean for our next game, where we took on Hansa Rostock, did have to call in our backup goalkeeper in Leon Herdez, and somehow we dropped points here to the team that are all the way down in 18th at home. Not really too sure what happened in this game, albeit I say that the goalkeeper that we brought in had an absolute stinker, as you're about to see. A 6.0, not very good. They have 5 shots on target. They scored 4 of them with 0.61 XG. Thankfully, actually found a way to grab a late draw in this game, thanks to the goal there to Leighton Stewart to pick up a double alongside Aaron Ramsey. Don Naderi just looping balls with his head there over Leon Herdez, who looked like a little bit of a midget who just couldn't jump in this game. Had a bit of Jordan Pickford syndrome. He's 1.91 metres tall, so I don't really know why that was the case. He was shocking in this game. Unfortunately, was Leon Herdez. He's been pretty good so far when we've used him in the DFB Pokal, albeit that hasn't been too much, obviously, because we haven't done too much in that competition when you take on Bayern Munich so early in it. But yeah, disappointing there from Herdez. His potential certainly has gone down off back of that performance as well. That cost us a couple of points there, which really would have put us in a nice position where you could have afforded to drop points here in this upcoming Hertha Berlin game. Instead, there is now a chance that Mainz could go above us if they can pick up a win over Darmstadt, of course the team that we bet when they had that red card. Hertha Berlin, though, are going quite well, but while we've been picking up those decent results, Nürnberg have continued to struggle these days. They've picked up 5 losses there, just having some really poor form there at the wrong time in the season. So that's the reason we're in a very strong spot here to go up automatically. Also worth noting that goal differential for us, if things do end up level with Mainz, they haven't beaten us so far this season, and we've got goal differential over them. So really, as long as we finish on the same amount of points as them, we should pick up these via Bundesliga. But fingers crossed we can get through this first game today relatively unscathed. It's going to be a little bit tricky though, because also, as well as that injury to Lukic, Herdez actually has just come back from a tight fight as well. Somehow picked that up in that game where he conceded 4, not too sure how, but as well as that, we do have a suspension to Lewis Walden at right wing. Too many yellow cards, so missing there our first choice right winger, who is a very good player these days. So a couple of big guns we do miss here. For easily is our toughest game in this run home. Hertha Berlin are coming home with a little bit of a wet sail. Did lose Dynamo Dresden away from home 3 games ago, but around that they've picked up wins over Kaiserslautern, Hanover and Grufer Fürfen. As well as that, if we go back to that home screen, you can see this is a team that we've really struggled to beat. So we're going to try here our 4-3-3. It's worked pretty well against good teams so far late on this season. Let's hope that continues. First up in today's episode, and Herdez can do a lot better than he did in that previous game. Oscar Pradell, we've called up from our B team to be the extra backup if we need him. If Herdez is a shocker, he might get a start in the last 2 games of the season, because I don't want our goalkeeper costing us the title. That could be an issue, because that performance before against Hansa Rostock was very, very concerning. We're going to see here how we go with this 4-3-3 against Hertha Berlin. They have given us a lot of trouble when we have used the 4-2-3-1 in the past. So fingers crossed here a change of shape might help. In terms of changes, obviously Herdez there a goalkeeper, and otherwise Greenwood at right wing. Apart from that, it is our best 11. Dawn still in there at left back over Sousa. We could change that, but Dawn should be better attribute-wise and isn't playing terribly. Sousa, of course, had that injury a couple of episodes ago, still steadily working his way back into the first team from that. But to be fair, he's been a big difference maker for us at left back so far this season. Probably wouldn't be the worst idea here if Dawn doesn't have the greatest first half to bring on Sousa if we do need some goals against the team like Hertha Berlin, because it's definitely the scariest fixture in the last couple off the back of that Nürnberg game. Fingers crossed off the back of those really unexpected drop points to Hansa Rostock that we won't get beaten here. A loss does allow our minds to jump above us, and of course it would then mean that Nürnberg actually keep themselves alive and trying to make their way up automatically, albeit their goal differential should actually mean that we're pretty safe. But fingers crossed he can get this done in this Hertha Berlin game and then go forward for what should be a final day shootout to hopefully get hold of that Zwei Bundesliga. But on the front foot here early with the ball, unfortunately Stollery a bit loose on it. So Hertha Berlin here in the white do try and make their way out from back, and so far doing a good job. They find Coffee there down their left-hand side. Bentley, though, plays it forward. Loose touch does mean that Jimenez can get that ball back for us, albeit Kovac there with a tackle on one of our players. I think it was Lopez. They take a shot, which, to be fair, not a bad idea given how poor Herdez was in that previous game, but thankfully he makes a save. Just a gentle golf clap for him, because seriously, he was so bad in that Hansa Rostock game. Probably should have actually dropped him for this one, but if he concedes some soft goals here, we'll definitely do that for our last couple of games of the season, which should be a lot easier. Final day, we've got Dynamo Dresden away from home and Kaiserslautern at home before then, so it should be a lot more winnable than this game. If we can get through this, I'm pretty confident that we can wrap up the title in those last couple of games. But we hold the ball here quite nicely. Eventually Ramsey will take a shot, making his way inside the box, but unfortunately puts that one well over the bar. So our first decent attack of this game, not too threatening. You can see our XG is quite high, despite the fact we haven't hit a shot on target. That definitely is a little bit of a concern. Maybe if this continues, we drop down to a slightly lower tempo in the second half, just see if that might be a little bit of a difference maker. We're on the ball again here. Dawn, though, that's a poor pass from him as we tried to find Stollery there a bit further forward down our left-hand side. So Hertha with a chance again here to hit us somewhat on the counter-attack. Coffee gets that ball down their left-hand side, makes his way forward, plays it back there to Showdown before Coffee gets it back. Just try and work something here in those triangles down their left-hand side. We try and mark Coffee tightly. He continues to hold the ball down. Now, ball over the top. Surely there, Simsa is offside. He picks up there a goal, but it looked pretty clear cut. I think he's off, albeit the players are celebrating. I need my eyes checked. Send me the Specsavers, because that makes it 1-0. Ball over the top there from Cuisance, and Simsa can put that one top right corner to beef. Not too sure if we can blame Herdez too much for that one, but unfortunately, it's that player there on the right-hand side. For some reason, Lopez has dropped back. Not too sure why, because apart from our defensive line, it would have caught him offside. Unfortunately, he's gone back there, our DM, and ruined it. So unfortunately, Hertha Berlin do take a 1-0 lead there just before halftime, and Jimenez gets a yellow card on a 6-point free. Our players there down that right-hand side really struggling. So Ostich there can come on at right back, and also we'll try Max Meyer here at right wing. Leighton Stewart not going too well, but I think we'll leave him out there for now. We'll see if we need to make a sub between him or Stoller in the second half, because then Meyer can move out to left wing. Veloso can cover both striker as well as that right-hand side, so we'll see if we need to take off one of Stoller or Stewart there in the second half, but thankfully might get a chance early here to make it 1-all. The ball forward there from Stewart. In the end, it's Manrique, I think, there, who took that one off of someone like Aaron Ramsey, but it's a decent save there from the Hertha goalkeeper, so unfortunately, it's still 1-0. The home team a chance there from set piece. Unfortunately, can't find Ruslan there at the near post. So a good chance for us there. I think our best one of this game so far. Still on top in terms of XG, just not as many shots on target as we should be getting. So unfortunately, we're still behind here. And now it's Aaron Ramsey who drops down to red. Hard is going quite well, our only player on a green rating. But Adama Kamara can come on for him. He's back from injury. That youngster that we did sign when Charlie Allen was out with injury, just as that transfer window was coming to a close back in January. So we'll see what he can do here off the bench. Now Stollery drops down to a red heart. So I think here with our final sub Veloso will come on and play right wing. Max Meyer can go out to a slightly more familiar left wing position. And in fact, one more sub we can make here. Let's bring on Sousa and try the 4-2-3-1. Not going too badly with this 4-3-3, but I think Sousa is a very good attacking wingback. Not too sure if he's close to a 4-3-3. Having a few more bodies further forward might suit him in this 4-2-3-1. So fingers crossed here we can score a goal and at least grab a point from this game to make sure we indeed will be going up to the Bundesliga for next season, no matter what Nürnberg do in their game that they have coming up. To be fair, I didn't actually check who they were playing. I was more worried about Mainz because they're actually within touching reach. I'm pretty sure Nürnberg at this stage should be the team who do finish in third, but unfortunately, we're about to make our way into injury time in this game. We're not doing a lot here with the 4-2-3-1, so we're going to chuck here both our wingbacks now onto attack. Lopez onto support instead of defend, and Meyer out left onto attack also. Let's go with an attacking mentality as well, and just see if that might get us going here late on in this game. It did used to work at Buxton with the space tactic. Let's see if that will do the job here in this game. A free kick late there to Hertha Berlin. Thankfully, Herdez not tested, not that he tried that hard because it goes over the bar, but certainly a bit average from him apparently, a 6.2. It does seem a little bit harsh with the goal he conceded, but apparently he's not played too well, so maybe need to make a change in goal before the next game that I do play against Kaiserslautern. Unfortunately, Hertha are back on the attack, though. It's a simple routine, and Luke Nene can put that one away. His first goal this season, and that will certainly wrap up all 3 points for Hertha Berlin. So maybe these guys aren't without a chance now of clinching that third spot, because Nürnberg are faltering big time late. Hopefully that continues, because now there's no chance that we can wrap up promotion with our on-field performance in this game. Hertha Berlin continue to have the wood over us stats-wise. That's a game that we definitely should have got something out of. Did look quite decent stats-wise with the 4-3-3, but unfortunately just weren't scoring goals. So unfortunately, we suffered defeat there again to Hertha Berlin, a bogey team, just like Eintracht Braunschweig. Fingers crossed we don't have to deal with them next season up in the Bundesliga. We'll tell our goalkeeper, but the second game in a row that we're quite angry with him and disappointed, because he has been absolutely shocking since coming in for Lukic. To be fair today, not as obvious his errors for those goals that we conceded, but a 6.1 I think it might have been in the end there for Herdez. We might drop him for that Kaiserslautern game, but unfortunately, we're going to need a favour from Nürnberg now if we want to get promoted before the final 2 games of the season. So not a good result for us there. First up in today's episode, made all the worse by the fact that the cheese cutter man there has led Mainz to a 2-0 win over Darmstadt, so it does mean that we've dropped down to second. But thankfully Nürnberg, they got beaten by Fortuna Düsseldorf 2-1 at home. That's now 4 losses in their last 5 games. So Nürnberg are trying to bottle their spot in that promotion relegation game lane. Of course, that does mean despite that defeat to Hertha Berlin, we are automatically going to get promoted up to the Bundesliga for next season with 2 games in hand. So thankfully that loss to Hertha doesn't hurt too much. There's a confirmation in the inbox. The board and whatnot are very happy with us, as is former player Andreas Geipel. The fans are quite delighted, and we've got our budgets as well. Now financially we're not too great. You can see it there. Really would have been useful if they waited till we got the prize money at the end of the season, depending if we did finish first or second, but instead they've done it now. And our transfer budget isn't very good because of that 199k. The wage budget, though, 300k, that does seem like a pretty decent boost. It is. It's up to 86k spare now. If we adjust this, it might not be so bad. Indeed, that's the case. We probably could get away with that, about 1.8 million with 50k spare in our wage budget, give or take. So to be fair, there's a little bit of money there, a bit more than I initially thought, but that is not the biggest budget for going up to the top flight. Fingers crossed this Jahn Regensburg team might be good enough, and hopefully they'll be good enough to pick up wins in the last 2 games of the season, and we get a chance to overtake Mainz. Will come back shortly for one of those last 2 games, depending on how things go. We've got Kaiserslautern and Dynamo Dresden, 2 teams that we definitely should be beating. Mainz have got Hertha Rostock. They should beat them, but we couldn't. That might be interesting. Hertha Berlin away, though, final day of the season. That could be a banana skin. So fingers crossed, we might get the chance to overtake them. We'll come back shortly, and hopefully it will go down to that final day and a shootout for this Bundesliga title. And indeed, we are going to the final day here to decide this Bundesliga title, because as you can see on screen, a very comfy 4-0 win there in that second to last game of the season. Carlos Manrique there at the 15-minute mark, then was on either side of halftime. And Toby Collier, his first goal for the club from the penalty spot just before that one did enter injury time. That obviously means that Manrique was forced from the field. Unfortunately, that's the only real downside from this game. He got injured also, with knowing that Oscar Priel, he picked up a 7.4 clean sheet there. So definitely going to stick with him in this upcoming game. He might actually be better than Herdez, despite that absolute lack of any upside there in that star rating. But Priel, a lot better than Herdez. To be fair, Kaiserslautern, though, weren't up to too much. But the only downside from this game is that Carlos Manrique, he picked up a twisted ankle, 10 days to 4 weeks. He definitely is missing for this final day of the season, which is a bit of a shame, because he has been great for us this season ever since he got here from Real Oviedo. But a very good average rating, 11 goals. Quite a few of those have come from the penalty spot. If only he got that one against Mainz and put it away, that might be the one that now costs us the title. But to be fair, I think more so if we don't overtake Mainz here on this final day of the season, I think it's going to be that Hertha Rostock result, because seriously, how do we drop points to those guys and concede 4 goals? But unfortunately, Mainz, that does mean that they also picked up a win 4-1 over Hertha Rostock. So those guys are quite good at conceding 4. Unfortunately, they only scored 1 against a half-decent goalkeeper in that game. So they've got Hertha Berlin here on the final match day. Those guys these days can't overtake Nürnberg, because Hertha must have dropped points there in that most recent game. A 2-0 loss at Paderborn. How on earth do you beat us and then lose to Paderborn? God knows. But anyway, that's what's happened there with Hertha Berlin. Fingers crossed they might return to some good form there in their last game of the season. But they've got nothing to play for, so Nürnberg are locked in for that 3rd spot. Really, it's just our game and the Mainz one that's important, because I'm pretty sure as well all the teams are guaranteed to be going down. In fact, no, Ingolstadt and Paderborn, they could switch places, so not too much to play for here on this final day of the season. Just 2 spots up top and 2 spots down bottom. Fingers crossed, though, that Hertha can do us a favour and we can get the job done over Dynamo Dresden, who also have nothing to play for, and they're down in 15th. So to be fair, it's about the kindest fixture that we could hope for, especially with this one being at home. Thankfully, Lewis Walden's back from his suspension. Lukic is still out, though, and obviously Carlos Manrique with that injury that he did pick up. And obviously, we've brought our new goalkeeper in Priel, because Herdez, absolute rubbish. Let's hope that that pays off. And also Lino Sousa comes back in there at left back. He's just going way too good this season to be dropped. Not too sure what I was thinking there the last couple of episodes when I was doing that. I was blinded there by attributes. The form of Sousa really should have kept him in that team. Obviously, that injury didn't help. 15 assists in 25 games, and 12 of those off the bench. He's been an absolute weapon for us in the league. But in terms of what we need here on this final day of the season, if we can tie points with Mainz, that would require them to not pick up a win, and we have the goal differential over them. So even a draw here might be enough on this final day of the season, but really we want to win, and we need Mainz to drop points there at Hertha Berlin, which definitely is now the realms of possibility, as we saw Hertha can be quite a handy team on their day, especially at home. Just a bit frustrating that we've let it slip a little bit late here in this Bundesliga season. As I said before, that Hertha Rostock game, that injury to our goalkeeper and Lukic might be what costs us a title, but thankfully we are still going up to the Bundesliga. That's the main thing. We'll also be interested to see how much prize money actually we do get off the back of this game, because hopefully that could mean a slight top up to our budget. To be fair, it's not as bad as I thought when it first came through at 100 and something K. Was seriously concerned about that, but fingers crossed here, our home fixture on the final day of the season might be enough for us to overtake Mainz, despite the fact we are missing a couple of quite important players, goalkeeper as well as, of course, our box-to-box midfielder in this 4-3-3. We're sticking with it because it did a great job there in that 4-0 win over Kaiserslautern. Collier comes in off the back of his first goal for the club there, albeit it was just from the penalty spot, but this definitely is a game we should be winning. Hopefully Mainz can find a way to kind of bottle things there with their cheese cutter man and their 4-2-3-1 at Hertha Berlin. As we know, Hertha Berlin do go quite well against the 4-2-3-1, so fingers crossed they do us a favour here on the final day of the season. But unfortunately, it's Dynamo Dresden here on the front foot. He was just wondering what our goalkeeper was doing there. It looked a little bit unconvincing, that jump from him to claim that ball, but thankfully he does get it for us, albeit now being put under a lot of pressure here as we try and make our way out from the back, but thankfully just doing enough here to keep hold of the ball. Ruslan there to Lopez. That pass slightly off the main, but Collier can now find Sousa, who will drive forward as he always does. Stollery plays that to Collier, who rips that one into the bottom right corner. It's a wonderful curving effort. Collier, it wasn't convincing in the build-up, but that is a stunning goal to give us a very early 1-0 lead, which hopefully might put some pressure on Mainz at Hertha Berlin. So I think for now we might go top of the table. Hopefully can pinch this on the final day of the season. If we do, that is certainly a goal. That's a title winner. That's a stunner there from Toby Collier coming in for Carlos Manrique. For now, we do go top of the table. Let's hope it stays that way. We'll switch over here to around the grounds for this game that we are playing, because really that's the only reason we're coming back for this one. Can we lift the title as well as get promoted? Unfortunately, though, Mainz do take a 1-0 lead there on the 20-minute mark. So unfortunately, we drop back down to second. We need a favour from Hertha Berlin, and that defence won't help. That is so soft there, a free kick, which just goes over the top at the near post side on that left side of the field. A first time finish there from Fleischmann, I think that might be. He puts it past Pradel, who concedes his first goal here this season with Jahn Regensburg, because obviously it's just the second game. And now we need to turn this round ASAP, otherwise Mainz are definitely going to pick up the league, because it's looking like they might not be losing that one there at Hertha Berlin. But a good chance there for Walden. It comes off the woodwork. Thankfully, Stollery can cut inside and just do enough to put that one away. We'll just cancel there, see if the encourage went through. It did, so we don't actually need to worry about it. I thought there briefly we might be encouraging with a 2-1 lead, which is never a good idea, but thankfully we're not locked up here for too long. Good effort there from Walden. It comes off the woodwork, but thankfully Stollery can follow it up nicely and put into pretty much an open net. To be fair, that one might have had a bit of help from a defender with a slight deflection, but we make it 2-1. But unfortunately, it does look like Mainz are still winning, so hopefully Hertha Berlin can find a way to turn that round. If it's only 1-0, it's not too bad as we make our way into 3 minutes of added time. Holy heck, I think Mainz just made it 3-0 in the space of a couple of minutes. If that's the case, I think we're screwed here either way. We're going to take off Lopez at halftime for Racine Bullock. Fingers crossed that we now can just kick on with what we're doing and put this Dynamo Dresden team to bed. But that is not really ideal. Mainz have got a quick fire double there, it looked like, before halftime. A bit hard to tell because it was so quick, only for a couple of seconds there on that around the grounds page. Indeed, it's true, an own goal, and Nordin scored one, so 3-0. I think we're going to finish second because of Blimmin Hansa Rostock. How do we draw that game at home to the worst team in the league by a million miles? But now we make our way up to the hour mark. We'll take off Jimenez, who's going fairly for Ostiach there at right back. Apart from that, don't know if there's too much more we can do. Lewis Walden on a 6.5, but we'll leave him out there because he's really good and can probably pop up with a goal, which we might need if Hertha somehow find a way back into that game. But unfortunately, it's not looking like now. Sousa drops down to a red heart, but takes the set piece and picks out Ruslan. That might be the reason that he's got so many assists, because he looks a very useful corner taker compared to Dawn. So thankfully, Ruslan will pick up another goal, and that should make it about 16 assists this season for Sousa in the league, which must be something close to a record. Off the back of that, we'll take him off the Dawn. I think going to next season, Sousa might be the first choice left back because he's been ridiculously good at setting up goals. So that makes it a 3-1. We're a bit more comfortable here, but unfortunately Mainz are still 3-0 in front in their game, so it's not looking likely here for a title party in the final game of the season. Max Meyer will bring on as well as Veloso up front with our last couple of subs here in this game. We've got a corner. We'll see if it actually happens. Indeed, it does. Ramsey will put that one into the mix. So Ruslan tries to hit it home, but unfortunately Ramsey can't quite pick him out as well as Sousa does, and that header does just go wide. But making our way to the final 10 minutes here of our season, we're quite happy because we're going up to the Bundesliga, but unfortunately it won't be as champions the first time we've done that here in the save. When we went up with Buxton every time, it was with a trophy. That's a good effort there from the free kick from Ostich, but unfortunately the goalkeeper comes up with a big save. It's still 3-1. Can we score one more goal here to end our season as Hertha make it 3-1 in their game? But that's probably a case of too little too late. Unfortunately, Ruslan can't pick up a double here, and that's full time. And there's no trophy celebration. So unfortunately, Hertha Berlin there just found a pretty awful patch of form in those last two games off back of beating us somehow there. They've got absolutely thumped by a team playing a 4-2-3-1 in their home stadium. St. Mainz have picked up the 2 Bundesliga, which is a bit embarrassing because we put like a 7 or 8 point gap on them at one stage there in the run home. So yeah, somehow they've found some ridiculous form there in the last couple of games of the season, but thankfully Nürnberg fell off, so it does mean that we go up in second place. Just a bit of a bummer because there's only 1 point in it. That frickin' Hansa Rostock game, that might be the one that haunts us this season because unfortunately we missed out on the title by 1 point, but thankfully still going up to the Bundesliga for next season. And we've gone for a week or so off the back of that final game of the season where unfortunately Hertha Berlin could not do us a favour. Thankfully not going to deal with them next season because they'll still be down here in the Zwei Bundesliga, while Jahn Regensburg are up in the big time. But now it's time to get stuck in here to the end of season review. The new arrivals, I think there's definitely a player who should get signing of the season. Indeed he does, on a free. Lino Sousa, only 15 starts and 13 sub-appearances, 18 assists for he. It's an absolute blinder. Really should have used him more, but that injury did come at a poor time, so we did have to get Dawn back in there, who wasn't quite as good, especially for a fee of 5.5 million. But to be fair, most guys that we did sign played quite well. Toby Collier, just that one start there right at the end of the season where he scored that screamer to help us pick up that win there over Dynamo Dresden. Pavicic was solid when we used him. Jimenez came in late and did an okay job there at right back, as did Lopez. In defensive midfield, Ostich did well for us there at the start of the season as a first choice right back. Stollery took a wee while to get going, but eventually found some form. Greenwood was okay as the backup right winger. Veloso could use some work, obviously there. A lot of sub appearances, but thankfully still has quite a bit of potential. In Kamara, that injury off the back of his first appearance for us here certainly did not help him, but hopefully those signings will be good enough to see us through in terms of squad depth in the Bundesliga for next season. The players that we got rid of, there's a fair few. Marco Rente was getting on. He's done okay there over at Cumber. Richmond Teshi, 2 million for him. Not too bad going to FC Tokyo, and a few other players here who were quite handy for us last season. Obviously, Pal Fernandez, a big boost for us there back in January, but unfortunately, he actually won the title with Mainz, so maybe that wasn't the best idea, albeit he hasn't played too many games for them, but still, maybe he's just shown them what a title-winning team does look like. Going down further, somehow got 1.6 million, but this Abbas Tim Hamdurker a release clause there, so he went to Bochum. And yeah, I think most of the players we got rid of, we should have. Not too sure about Pau Fernandez in hindsight, but to be fair, the money that we got for him, we did sign quite a few good players in the likes of Collier as well as Jimenez, and going down further, Lopez, and of course Kamara. So to be fair, we got a few players for that fee there for Pau Fernandez. Going over to the Zwei Bundesliga, a lot more consistent here this season than we were last season because we stuck with that one tactical style. A couple of draws there early on when trying to try out there the 4-4-2, especially that grew for first game, but for the most part, we were pretty consistent. A couple of losses here and there, a few draws. That was, though, in a bit of a tough run where we did have games against Nuremberg as well as Mainz, but the one that really haunts me, as I said before, Hansa Rostock. How do you draw against those guys? Your goalkeeper gets injured at the wrong time of the season. But to be fair, we've gone up just 1 point off Mainz, though. A little bit frustrating. Nuremberg are still taking part in the promotion relegation game, so can't tell you quite yet if they're going to go up alongside us in Mainz. The FB Pokal, we went one round deeper than last season before getting Bayern Munich again. So obviously we got knocked out to Beefy, though those guys did not make the final this season. Eintracht Frankfurt pick it up with a 2-1 win over Gladbach. Hopefully next season we can have a bit of a deeper run there in the DFB pocket, but Beefy are definitely going to be trying to focus on staying up in the Bundesliga. Our biggest win was in a derby, a 7-1 thrashing there of Ingolstadt, which you love to see. The match to remember, a 2-1 win over Mainz in the first half of the season, which in hindsight is quite a big win. They never beat us this season, but they're the champions. That's a bit annoying. In the goal of the season, you just saw it, that opener there from Collier in that final game we did play against Dynamo Dresden. Certainly, it was a stunner and picks up the best one for us here at Jahn Regensburg. Here are the finances now. Surely that reputation will go up a little bit next season now that we're going to be a Bundesliga club. Most things here have gone up. The matchday commercial and retail has gone down somehow, despite the fact we did better in prize money as well. We ended up getting 14.7 million. Unfortunately, no boost yet to our transfer budget. The top shirt sellers, Walden, Ramsey, Manrique, Ruslan, and Ostiach. So that's not too bad for us there, selling 7.25k shirts. Going over to our best 11, it's going with the 4-2-3-1, but obviously did switch quite a bit this season between that and the 4-3-3. But Lukic at the back, Ostiach, Ruslan, Hubner, and Sousa. That makes a lot of sense with Ramsey and Manrique there. That's an interesting option because Ramsey did play as our central attacking midfielder, but obviously they didn't rate the work there of both Bullic or Lopez once he joined the club. So it does mean that Max Meyer and Stollery get in this team. Stollery there might be a bit lucky to sneak his way in with a 6.73. Walden though at right winger, and Leighton Stewart, our top goal scorer of 17, does get there up top. Let's see what awards we do pick up this season. And Lino Sousa with pretty close to a clean sweep. Fans Player of the Season, Young Player of the Season, and of course the Signing of the Season. Going down though, not the top goal scorer, that was Stewart, but he got more assists than Stewart got goals. So Sousa had a blinder for us there this season, if only he did not get injured for that brief period there in the back half of the season. Maybe if we just left him in there without that injury, we might have picked up the title. Ruslan got the most man of the matches, and going over the competition awards, there are none, but most goals by a player in a season, Leighton Stewart. Sousa obviously the most assists. Highest transfer fee paid, that was for Dawn, of 4.8 in hindsight. Might have been a little bit of a waste of money with how good Sousa did end up being. And highest transfer fee received was the 3.5 for Pal Fernandez. Going forward to history in the making, we looked a class above apparently in the first couple of months of the season. Really, we're always up there. Thankfully, we held it for long enough this season, and going back here to the end of last season, which didn't have too much going on in terms of our manager timeline. And I think we kick things off there with that Jimmy Rodriguez story. We do have a change in ownership here in Jahn Regensburg. It was pretty low-key, so that's the reason I didn't bring it up there at the start of the season. We spent quite a bit of money and got quite a bit in there in terms of our transfers. Late winner there against Werder Bremen, that was in September. Going forward, a little bit off the back of that. And here are the last couple of things that we did do for this season. Lots of sales stuff there, and our third promotion of our career. But unfortunately, just couldn't quite get the job done, finishing 1 point behind Mainz. So that's a bit frustrating, as I said before. Frickin' Hansa Rostock and that 4-4 draw, and Leighton Stewart, 17 goals in the season, is a new club record. So I think that will do it for the end of season review. Of course, there is the overall best 11. We've only been here though for 2 seasons, so not too sure how important this is, albeit Ruslan does get in there, which is quite good to see. But really, that's the only player that we've brought to the club who snuck his way into that starting lineup. So I think we'll go forward now and just double check who does go up to the Bundesliga if Nürnberg can get the job done before we wrap things up for the season, before having a crack at the Bundesliga in the next one. And going forward about a week or so from that end of season review, all the playoffs have now been finished here in Germany. You can see Paderborn will stay in the 2 Bundesliga, a comfy 5-1 win there over Zwickau in that playoff. But Beefy, we don't care about that one because next season we are up in the Bundesliga, and you can actually see it there over on the left-hand side. I forgot to do that one and try and hide it from you guys. Nürnberg, they are going up off the back of a penalty shootout win over Freiburg. So the Beefy, the 3 teams who did clear out for a fair bit of the season, are going up to the Bundesliga. Nürnberg will join both us and Jahn Regensburg. Coming down, it is Freiburg off the back of that defeat. But also, if we check out the league table, St. Pauli and Holstein Kiel, there's what also happened there in the Bundesliga this season. Bayern, a quite comfy winner. Going to be pretty brutal for us next season. There's some big teams there. I dare say going to be a bit of a struggle with that just under £2 million transfer budget that we do have to work with. But before we wrap things up here for this season, a little bit of a manager profile update. We did get our Continental A license, and that certainly has boosted our reputation as well as that promotion. We are now up to 3.5 stars, percentage-wise 65%. So that might just make us a bit more attractive to some other clubs now in the save. Maybe get offered some other jobs there in the Bundesliga or some top divisions elsewhere in the world. But to be fair, would be quite nice to maybe just give Jahn Regensburg here one solid season in the Bundesliga before we do ditch them. Hopefully can find a way to keep them up. We did try and ask for our coaching badge. They turned us down because they're afraid that we'll join another club. And to be fair, it's probably not the worst line of thinking there from the board here at Jahn Regensburg. But a quick look as well at the job centre, just in case there's something interesting that does pop up. We won't apply for anything. Wellington Phoenix, now it's actually a job that popped up before we left Buxton. They appointed a caretaker manager and took too long to decide if they wanted us. So in the end, didn't get a chance to join the Phoenix. I dare say that won't be happening now that we are a Bundesliga standard manager, and that could be quite interesting. They're one of the better teams over there in Belgium. That could be very, very interesting if they've got European football for next season, which indeed they do. Anderlecht might be one, if we get an interview for, I might have to consider going down further. Chile and Costa Rica, not too sure. We've got Everton in the Premier League, but they've been relegated to the BFA, not too sure if that's a great idea to lose. Don't think so. They might also be getting relegated there from League. Oh, a couple there of Bundesliga clubs, in particular Hoffenheim, who did stay up. So maybe that's a slight upgrade there from Jahn Regensburg if they do offer us a job interview. A couple of jobs there in Serie A, but I think both those teams are getting relegated. And going down further, nothing too special until right at the bottom. We've got Valencia from La Liga as well. So a couple that could be too hard to turn down if they come for us. But I think for now, we're quite happy to stay here at Jahn Regensburg, try and keep these guys up in the Bundesliga for one season. But if they come after us, those sort of clubs, we might have an interesting episode coming up at the start of next week. Could be transfers and maybe a move. But I am quite happy here at Jahn Regensburg, despite the fact they did just turn me down for my Continental Pro license. So I think that will do it for today's episode and for our second season here at Jahn Regensburg. We get promoted up to the Bundesliga, but kind of bottle things there in terms of trying to win that Zwei Bundesliga title. If you enjoyed this season, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well until the start of next week for a transfer recap, or it could be some job interviews. We'll see how things go during the course of the off season. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.